By now, I'm sure that you know that Thomas Eric Duncan, the first case of Ebola in the United States, diagnosed in the United States, has died. That case was out of Texas. I want to check in with ABC News' Jim Ryan. He is live in Dallas. And Jim, what is the latest? Jim Ryan, good morning. Hello, Jim Ryan.
Sorry about that. Yes. There are still others who are being monitored. Those are the people who had either direct contact with Thomas Eric Duncan or indirect contact. And as you pointed out, there are several dozen of those people on that list. Their temperatures are being taken every day. Only a few are in an enforced quarantine situation. Those are the fiancé and the kids of the fiancé of Thomas Eric Duncan. So far, nobody has shown any symptoms. And we are at day number 11 or 12 since Duncan went into the hospital. So the closer we get to that 21 days assumed cutoff for the incubation period of Ebola, then I think everyone will start to breathe a little bit easier, at least around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jim, there was word that possibly a Texas deputy also was showing signs of the disease. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, Sergeant Michael Monning was one of 5 sheriff's deputies sent to relocate the fiancé and the kids of the fiancé of Thomas Eric Duncan out of their apartment after it was to be decontaminated. Everything's fine, and for the following week and a half or so. Yesterday, he started feeling sick, had some stomach distress, and went to a clinic, a corner clinic in suburban Dallas. They immediately, in an abundance of caution, transferred him down to Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, the same hospital where Duncan was being treated and later would die. He's shown no fever. He's shown none of the other traditional symptoms that would come along with Ebola, but he is being monitored for that, and he is considered low risk for an infection. He wasn't around anybody who was actively showing symptoms, in other words.
Can you give us a brief timeline? Okay, so he arrived from Liberia to Dallas on the 20th of September, right? And then he went to the hospital a few days after that.
Correct, yes. The following Friday, he went to the hospital. We're talking about Duncan here.
Right.
Was showing, he went in there, he had a fever, he had some nausea. The admitting nurse there checked him out. She did ask him, that admitting nurse, whether he had been to come from West Africa. He acknowledged that he had. But that piece of information didn't make it somehow to the medical staff, make it that one step farther to the doctor who actually did the exam on Duncan. He was given a bottle of antibiotics and sent home. 2 days later, he was brought in by ambulance in critical condition. We later would learn that he was suffering Ebola.
Do you think that because it took a while for him to really get treated just for Ebola, is that why that he didn't survive as compared to the other patients who were treated in the United States?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it would be sort of a stretch, but, I think that everybody, and especially that admitting nurse, and especially that doctor in that hospital, wish that he had been kept in. They've tried to fix that little lapse in communication, that little piece of information sharing, to ensure that that's done on an automatic basis, but certainly they would like to have those 2 days back. Is that why he died? Hard to say. He was given experimental drug. It was not ZMapp that's been used on some other patients. It was brincidofovir, which has been shown some success in Ebola testing in the laboratory. But again, we don't know whether that experimental drug helped or hurt or did nothing.
Now, U.S. airports, there are a handful of them, will be screening patients who are coming, or passengers who are coming in from West Africa, right?
Correct, yes. There are airports on the East Coast in Washington and New York. Those are the sort of waypoints that people make their way to this country or to this part of the world. And Duncan is a good example. He began his trip in Liberia. He went through Brussels, then to Washington Dulles, and then to DFW Airport. So really there's no point in screening people or taking their temperature here or in St. Louis or in Salt Lake City if you came through one of those other airports on the East Coast. So it's those airports. It's the Washington and New York airports will be checking that.
And have we heard any more about the news photographer the freelance photographer from NBC? How is he doing?
Well, he's still being treated as well in Nebraska. I can tell you that Dr. Kent Brantley, the North Texas physician who caught Ebola while treating patients in West Africa, was brought back to this country, successfully treated, and is recovering quite nicely. He's donated some of his plasma to that photographer in hopes that the antibodies that his body developed to fight off this disease might be used to treat other patients. So we'll have to see if there's success there. By the way, Kent Brantley can never get Ebola again. His body has built up an immunity, and then it's presumed that he can't catch it now.
Do we know what experimental drug this photographer is getting? Is he getting the same one that the other two doctors, Brantley and the other woman?
It may be something else altogether. I don't think it's ZMapp. I think ZMapp, the last dose of ZMapp was administered somewhere in Scandinavia a couple of days ago. So it's gone. And if it was successful in treating Brantley, then they're trying to develop the stuff, trying to replicate it, create more of it. It may hold the best hope for treating future patients. But again, you never know with something like this. All Did ZMapp help to cure Kent Brantley? Did brincidofovir fail to save Thomas Eric Duncan? We don't know.
And my final question, Jim, you're in Dallas, so what's the mood there now? I mean, are people in a panic mode, or are local officials doing a pretty good job keeping people pretty calm?
A little of each, I think. There are people who are very nervous about this situation and acting cautiously and doing things they hope to protect themselves from Ebola, but and local officials are trying to calm nerves around here. But I think you're right. I mean, you've got almost 7 million people here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and you'll find a range of emotions and a range of concern about this particular problem.
And finally, as far as what will they do with Duncan's body, I know that there's concern that even after an Ebola patient dies, they're still kind of at risk for infecting, right?
Extreme risk, maybe even a greater risk. In fact, a lot of the people in West Africa who are suffering the illness are presumed to have gotten it during the handling of corpses in preparation for funerals, the corpses of Ebola patients. And so the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has strict guidelines about how the bodies of patients like this one are to be handled. There's either to be an immediate burial or a cremation, but either way, it's just a minimum of handling of this corpse.
All right, Jim Ryan, thanks so much. Jim Ryan joining us live from Dallas, the latest on the first patient diagnosed in the United States to die from Ebola, reporting live from Dallas. The time now is 6:29. You're listening to KTRS, and I think McGraw's probably headed on his way in, hopefully. Well,